Hello, everybody, once again for the third time, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Rakshita, the speaker curator at HerKey, and I'll be your host. As AI continues to evolve, we're moving beyond tools, right, that simply assist humans to do systems that can independently make decisions, automate workflows, and influence business outcomes. Now, while this opens up exciting possibilities, it also raises an equally important question. How do we ensure these systems are trustworthy, transparent, and governed responsibly? Today's session will explore exactly that. How do organizations or how can they build and scale autonomous AI while balancing innovation with accountability? I'm delighted to welcome our speaker for today's session, Rupali Gupta, Global Director of Platform Engineering at Dunham. Divya, if you could also spotlight Rupali, please.
Hi, Rakshita. Hi, everyone.
As you can see, the lovely person on screen, that is our guest or speaker today. Now, a little bit about Rupali before we begin. She has over 22 years of experience in platform engineering, cloud technologies, AI-driven engineering, and enterprise transformation. Now, Rupali has led large-scale technology initiatives that power global retail ecosystems. She's also passionate about building scalable AI native platforms, driving responsible innovation, and enabling large organizations to embrace emerging technologies with confidence. Now, there is more to a person than just the work they do. Just like that, Rupali has some other exceptional things she has done. She is also a keynote speaker, a 2x LinkedIn top voice, and a strong advocate for women in technology leadership. Rupali, it's wonderful to have you with us today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Rakshita. This is really very kind. And thank you to everyone who has joined today. I know that this is the middle of a working afternoon and an hour is a lot to give. So thank you for spending it here. I really do not take it lightly, right? And Rakshita, it also means a great deal for me to be doing this with HerKey in a room which is full of, women in technology. And as I always say, honestly, this is the room I always hoped to be in, though. So thank you for calling me here.
As well, glad to have you here as well. Thank you. I think with that we are ready to begin, Rupali.
Yeah.
Very first question to you is, now we know that you've been doing this for quite some time. So you have seen technology evolve across multiple generations. Now, what are you seeing today as enterprises move from AI assisted workflows to autonomous AI systems?
Rakshita, this is a good question, great question. Because, see, for most of my career, software did what we told it to do, right? Same input, same output every time. Then AI arrived. And for a while, it just helped. It suggested things, it drafted things, but a human still decided. A human still acted, right? What is changing now is that the agent acts. It moves the money, it changes the records, and it sends the messages, and often nobody checks it first. And that is a completely different kind of software, right? And it breaks an assumption all of us, our careers are built on, that software wants to be told. It does not wait anymore. That is exciting, definitely. It is also why everyone has stopped asking, what can it do? And started, asking, hey, can we trust it? So that is the difference that I'm seeing.
I think that's a great observation, right? Because you have seen it from the very beginning. And I think you can also look at the pros and cons of it, right, from an observant point of view as well, because it's there. Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Now, the next question, which I'm sure some of my audience will also appreciate, is what exactly are autonomous agents and how are they different from your traditional AI apps?
Okay. That's another interesting question, Rakshita. So I'll take a very simple approach, right, to make you understand. The simple way I explain it is a normal AI application, which we had, used to answer, right? You ask it something and it gives you an answer and it stops. An agent does not stop at an answer, right? It plans, it uses tools, it takes action in your real systems. And it takes going on until it decides the job is done. Now, for me, and I think this is true for my audience as well, three things that make it that hard for me. The first is it is unpredictable. The same question, you can try it on your, Chat GPT or Claude. It is undeterministic. What it means is the same question can give you two different answers. They both will be right, but they will be different, right? The second thing is it acts. So it does things, not just says things, right? And the third aspect is it does not work alone. One agent calls another and then another, and one request becomes a chain of decisions nobody wrote down, right? With this, I would like to tell you one, story of this year, right? Because I am a person who learns from, people and then, the industry and others' mistake as well in my journey. So I'll tell you one story which you might have heard this year. A few months ago, a founder was, using one of the popular AI coding agents, not a chatbot, one agent, right? The kind of agent that goes and does the work in your real systems. And it was doing the routine task. It hit a small problem, a password did not match, right? Instead of stopping and asking, the agent decided to fix the problem itself. And it decided to delete a storage volume. Okay. Now what happened? It went looking for an access key. It found one lying in a file, right? That file was in a completely unrelated place, and that key had permission to do everything. It could go do anything to the system. So it ran the delete. No confirmation, no human, right? 9 second, Rakshita. 9 second, and the entire production database of that company gone. And those backups were sitting in the same place.
Oh no.
See, this was the software that the car rental business used to run their mornings on, right? And one Saturday, the whole system simply was not there. Now, the easy story here is that, okay, scary AI, what can we do? But that is not the real lesson. When the founder asked that agent what happened, it confessed, right? It confessed in writing. It said, I violated every principle I was given. But for me, the truth underneath is something different, right? The agent just did not go rogue, it guessed wrong, but with root access, right? Now think about what that means. That key should never have been able to delete a production database, right? There was no check before an action that could not be undone. And
It shouldn't be so easy at all.
and the backup were also stored in the same place as the things they were meant to protect, and you are storing that at the same place as well. So not one of those was a model problem. Ask yourself, if I ask you, was this a model problem? I don't think that was alone a model problem. Every single one was a governance problem, right? So what I think is we are rushing when we are creating agentic AI and autonomous systems. We are putting these agents, which are really the autonomous agents, and you know which are replacing your human intelligence at some point. So we are putting these agents into production faster than we are building the safety around them. And for that, I think it is important aspect of this talk today, that how we create those agents in a very governed way, right? So that they do our work, but not, delete the protection database again. I hope I answer it simply, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just can't get over the fact that something like this happened, and it just makes me wonder. You're so right. So many times they are doing it because it's the niche trending thing to do, or it's the biggest buzzword to exist. So everybody is using it, but yeah, like, are we really prepared? Do we really know what to do? Is the right question to ask.
Absolutely. And I hope the talk today helps our future leaders and current leaders understand and stop and then, answer, question those things.
Sure, it will, Rupali. That was a great example of what can go wrong if the governance is not done right.
Right.
So, thank you. My next question to you is now, because we spoke about some of the independent decisions it did. Now that AI systems have got access to make more independent decisions in general, why has trust become one of the biggest conversations for enterprise leaders?
Absolutely. Because the moment software acts for you, is it accurate, stops being the right question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that agent I just described. Its reasoning was perfectly logical, right? I saw a problem and I solved a problem, accurate in narrow sense, but it was catastrophic, right? So for me, a decision can be completely accurate and still be a disaster, right? So leaders have started asking four things instead, right? And I'm sorry I could not create any slide, but I'll try to answer them on my fingers, and then I'll try to explain it simply here. So the leaders have to answer four things here, right? Can I predict what this system will do? Can I see what it did and why? Can I stop it before it does something I cannot undo, right? And the fourth thing is, when it acts, is there a clear line back to a person who is accountable, right? So these four questions are very important for any leader. If a leader cannot say yes to those four questions, they cannot scale it. It does not matter how good the demo was. And that is why trust is the conversation. Trust is the bottleneck now, not the capability.
That is the shift we are seeing, and I think it's the need of the hour. And again, talks about the capabilities of the person doing it or leading it as well, right? If these thoughts don't come to your mind when you are leading something as crucial as this, then we have some other problems to look
Absolutely.
at, isn't
Well
it?
said, Rachita.
Right. Now, so that is the thing that you think needs to be done. But what I also want to know is, how do organizations enable this while maintaining control and accountability? And also, if you are comfortable sharing, what does an effective enterprise governance framework for autonomous AI look like?
Hmm. Okay. So the question is, how do you enable innovation, right? With this control, I am talking about governance, but organizations want to have innovation. That is right, because we want to move ahead. But the trap in that question, Rashita, is thinking that it is a trade off, that you either move fast or you stay in the control, right? The best teams I've seen refuses that trade-off, and they do it by changing what governance means, right? And governance, I like actually this a lot. It is a core to my heart because this is what I do day and night in my organizations, previously and now in dunnhumby. So I know this by heart, that governance done badly is definitely a gate, right? Everybody stops and asks permissions. See, it adds no safety, and engineers just find a way around it, right? When you do it governance the right way, right? Governance, when it is done well, it becomes your guardrails. It is simply there in the road. And now I will tell you one example that I really like actually to talk about when when I think about when I talk about governance. So
Right?
you have seen the mountain road, the
Yep.
mountain, right? So think about the mountain road right now. nobody drives it faster because you removed the barriers. You see that barriers are there, right? And you're most comfortable due to the barriers into the mountain road, right? So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
drive faster because the barriers are there and not because you remove the barrier, right? So governance, from that lens, I always take that this should not be treated first as the brake, and it is your steering, right? So this is important. I think it is a mindset change, Rashita, that we need always to, this is a responsibility more into the AI era than, previously it was. Now, as I'm a big, fan of learning from stories. So I am going to tell you another story now. And
Yes.
I'll tell you what happens without these barriers or without these governance. So last year, a team built a
Mm-hmm.
system with 4 AI agents, right? We are all talking about agentic AI. So this was 4 AI agents. It worked perfectly in testing, as they always do. It was tested in non-production. So they decided to put in a production, right? Then two of the agents, because this was a multi-agent system, they were research agents. Then two of those agents started talking to each other. One did some analysis, the other asked it to check something. So it did, more analysis. And the other one asked again, back and forth, all day, all night, for 11 days.
Wow. Okay.
The 11 days before anyone noticed this. And when somebody noticed it, the bill for two machines talking to each other was $47,000.
Dollars.
$47,000. $47,000 for doing nothing useful, right? They were just talking to each other and no one noticed. And now, here is the part I want you to notice, Rakshita. This team was not careless, right? They had logging, they had monitoring, they had their dashboards, what you all say, and
Mm-hmm.
could see everything. What they did not have was a way to stop it when it was happening. And that is the sentence I would write on the wall somewhere, right? Seeing is not controlling. Most organizations today have dashboards. A very
Mm-hmm.
few have those breaks, right? So what, does a real framework look like? You would ask, what should we do, right? I mean, if seeing is not, really controlling, so how should we create that framework, right?
Right.
So I would, list 5 most important things today. And then this goes on and on when, there are multiple things beyond that, but 5 foundational things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And none of them is a document. They are all live running in the system. So first is sort every action by risk, right? When you are creating your agentic systems, so you need to give it your agent should be classified as a risk, in a risk zone,
Correct.
with a low risk agent or a high risk agent. What I say is an informational agent or an actionable agent, right? So one thing is that if you see, just reading data or getting some public information which is not data sensitive is not the same as moving money. When you are creating your agentic system, if you are measuring every agent in the same measurement scale, that would be the biggest first problem. So every agent should be a risk zone associated with it. We call it at dunnhumby a green zone versus an amber versus a red or gray zone, right? And your guardrails, right, or your governance are directly related to those zones. So let the agent do small things alone, because we don't want, you ask that how do we, uh, not stop the innovation, with the governance. So we don't want to, stop the agents doing the small stuff, which does not require any, action on the human part. But the things you cannot undo, it proposes and human approves. So those amber zone might be some some reversible action that can be, reverse.
There's one more step of authentication required before big decisions are made, something of those sorts, correct? Yeah?
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what your is agent will associate, the guardrail. If you need a human in the loop, then I think that is where your high risk agent will require a human approval, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
classify your agents. The second thing is give every agent an identity, right? There should be no agent in your ecosystem which you are not aware of. We call
Mm-hmm.
shadow agents, right? And that identity should provide the smallest access it needs, right? Remember the deleted database. If that key could only have done the small job it was meant for, there would have been no story at all for me to tell you, right? So
Mm.
the identity is important, and then least privilege is as much important. Give the smallest privilege that So earlier there is a example that I always used to do. The R back and A back, the people who are in technology, we work on role based access and action based access. But right now in agentic governance, you also need to think on the behavioral driven access. What action can it take? What behavior is allowed to this agent or not even. And then you have to have the continuous governance to see that okay, that that is also adhering to there's no drift or there's no behavioral change in that agent.
Right.
The third is record everything. It is very important. It is very important. What
Documentation,
did
basic. Yeah.
what did and why, on whose authority, what data it checked, all those
Mm-hmm.
things. You should be able to trace the whole observability layer, all the traces of the agent, where it did, what it did, where it, went, which agent did it talk to, so that it helps you, getting the questions when something happens. The fourth part is put a human in the loop by design, right? So it is not something that okay, it depends on models. Someone says that okay, when the model grows up and then there would be no human in the loop. That is not true. The human should be put in the loop by design, not everywhere, at decisions that deserve it, right? And the fifth part, test before you ship
Mm.
and keep testing after. So what happens with the traditional systems, right? Traditional software systems that we ship, and now I think the AI systems. Uh,
Yeah.
Traditional systems were deterministic. They always answered the same question the same way, right? But the agentic systems are non-deterministic, as I told you before, and they drift their behavior. So you are getting, success rate of say 95% as a from a model or from your agentic system in January. And then the behavior starts drifting. What is drift is it will maybe find in the ecosystem some unrelated document by itself, some maybe old document from its context service context, or it will learn from the behavior of the product,
Right.
and it will drift from what you thought that it will do, and it has its own memory, it has a way of working. Think of it as a new employee in your system, right? A new employee, you won't give the everything on the first day, right? All the accesses on the first day, and then you would ask it, okay, you deploy the biggest release for my biggest client on the first day. So for your agents also, I think it is very important that we don't trust them like a new employee or maybe a 17 years old who has taken your car keys, right? I have a 17-year-old. I can relate it with him. And
Okay.
so who has taken your car key and says, okay, mom, that I am going to drive it, right? You won't trust him. As it is not that you won't trust him anytime, but you won't trust him
At
that.
that moment.
So you need to have what I call is a continuous governance model. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it is more important with agentic system than before. We never used to test our applications on production earlier the way that we have to do now.
No.
The drift happens, the behavior drift, the data drift, and a lot of kind of drifts that you would not know. Your agent is running on the system, but you would not do what it did last time, right? Last night. So it is important to keep on testing before you ship.
So to maintain the consistency.
Right. And that is very important, because they quietly start behaving differently as the world changes around them, as I said. And the thread through all five is this, that governance is not a sign off. I am telling you this very particularly, that earlier we used to think that, okay, I took a sign off from governance, and then the regulation will come and compliance will come, and we'll do it, continuously after a period, regularly after some period. But it has to be a continuous governance now. And it cannot be a sign off that you get once and file away. It is something that you practice every day now. So like safety in any serious engineering environment, so it is it is not a certificate on the wall now.
Not like safety certified or check certified. That's
Yeah,
what.
and you can relate it with software security, right? So security say that, okay, that we have tested it for all the security breaches of our system, and it is not that you would not test your systems on on production for new security breaches. Systems change, the environment changes around them, and the new security breaches come, and you keep on testing your system, and you keep on enhancing your security layer. Uh, for those new breaches, right? For those new security threats. So exactly, if OWASP, I was going through there, they have, I mean, you all should go and check the new security threats on your agentic systems. And security breaches so much easier than before, because all you have to give manipulation uh, in natural language. You can talk to the agent, you can give the prompt injection in a way that, okay, you are just doing it in natural language, and it will behave in a way that it should not if the system is not good enough. So I think those aspects, the security threats, are important for us to know before we create those systems, so that we know that what problem we are solving, right? So I hope that I was clear on
Oh, I think you were quite clear. Thank you for all the examples. Also, it just made it easier to actually resonate with the things. Rupali, two things that I took away from this answer. One, you don't look like you have a 17-year-old.
I have a baby face. I have two sons.
Yeah,
One is
no,
7.
no. Yeah, I just like I couldn't get past it for the next 10, 20 seconds because I am like, wow.
You made my day, Rakshita.
And I'm sure some of our audience members will also agree to this because I just couldn't get past that. This conversation seemed, of course, it didn't strike me because obviously you have so many years of experience, right, Rupali? But yeah, I mean, we should have seen it coming, but that is amazing.
Two teenagers, one about to be adult, and one is a teenager about to be 14. So, and it seems, a problem sometimes to me, because a new office I would join, they would say that, okay, are you a fresher? Somebody would come and, sit beside, say, oh, new freshers. So, yeah, I think I enjoy that as well, Rakshita. And sometimes
And
I need to
like
really.
show your proof of age. Yeah, I mean that is so interesting, and that's the thing, right? Also, I think this is there may be similar people on your boat, right? People who probably, like you called it, a baby face, or they
Yeah.
always look younger than they are. So sometimes they tend to underestimate you as well. So it's also nice to sort of, once you do the talking, to sort of remind them and prove it to them that, hey, you know what you're doing.
I enjoy it now more than I worried. I worried it earlier then, but yeah. And a lot of women who are really well maintained, and they look like, alike. And I share a very good bond and a respect with them, that, okay, we should be like that.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Rubai, now that how can we maintain,
Mm.
like, how can not you as in leaders in general, how can they ensure that there is transparency, reliability, and responsible decision making?
Yeah.
And also, is trust becoming like a bottleneck for AI adaptation rather than tech capability?
Um, it's a great question on my part, actually, and It's a great platform actually that I can, talk about that, what I think. See, transparency comes from records, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you cannot explain why a system did something, you
Mhm.
cannot defend it, sorry. And what you cannot defend it to a customer, not to your board, and eventually not to a regulator, right? So this is about transparency for me, that you should have a data backed up for your, for your system to say that, okay, this is a transparent system, right? Then comes the reliability. Reliability comes from measuring the quality of your decisions, right? And that too continuously, as I mentioned, not checking once in a demo, okay, is it working, not working, right?
Yeah.
And then
Consistent. Living.
and then
Yeah.
comes the very important part for a leadership, which is responsible decision making. So responsible decision making comes from being honest, right, about which decisions a machine should be allowed to make alone and which one it should not. And this last one is not a technical decision, it is a leadership decision, Rakshita. So for me, technology, see, can tell you what is possible, right? But it cannot tell you what is wise, right? And drawing that line is our job. And it cannot be handed to whoever, happens to closest to the code at that
Yeah.
time.
It has to be accurate and
And yes, I think trust is the bottleneck. I would go
mm.
further, Rakshita. It is becoming the bottleneck. Now, and you know, it is not only becoming the bottleneck now. It has already been the bottleneck. It already is the bottleneck.
For a while. Okay. Yeah.
Why? If you see, walk in most of the companies, right, and you will not find a shortage of clever models. You name the model, and the companies would be experimenting with them, right? What you will find, I'm telling you, and you can experiment it with some of your leadership team members. What I find is a great what graveyard, what we call, of pilots, right, and of demos that work beautifully and never went live, right? And when you ask why, the answer is almost never the model was not good enough. It is that we could not, get comfortable letting it run without something watching. We don't know
Mm.
what is what to production, how we scale from, pilot to production. So that
Right.
is the first problem, Rakshita. And you don't know, you don't solve this. You don't solve a trust problem with a better model. You solve it with a better governance. I want you to remember this today.
I'm going to remember the examples being used, Rupali. I think they're excellent because they're real life things. Now, these are things that do happen. So, I
But
really have to acknowledge the analogies you've been using. They're making it really interesting to remember. And I'm
that,
not from the same background, so I think you're making it very easy.
that is my motherly teaching instinct, I think, I would say.
Now you're proving to be a teenage kid's mom.
And the good news is this is engineering, right? And we know how to do this. We just have to choose to do it, right, Rakshita? So this is important here. And one thing from this session definitely is the takeaway that governance, which nobody thinks about mostly when you're creating some pilots, governance, how we, raise the right questions about governance at the right table.
Hmm. I think it's also important to remember that this is the due diligence process for pretty much everything. But especially with this, when the stakes are as high as what your agents do right now, I think it's very important to keep them in mind.
Yeah, definitely. Well said.
Great. Well, Rupali, I'm absolutely loving this conversation. I do have a few more questions for you before we can open the forum for some Q&A. This is a reminder to our audience. If you do have questions, I know Rupali is doing a fab job in explaining these things. However, if you still do have questions, we would love to answer them. So
Definitely.
please drop them in the Q&A tab of the call and we'll pick them up towards the final segment. So, yeah, just a reminder for our audience. Now, I have one more very interesting question before I move to the next segment of this conversation, Rupali,
Yeah.
which is for women leaders in technology. Now, how can they navigate between driving innovation and ensuring responsible adoption? And
Hmm.
also, like a piece of advice you would share with tech leaders looking to build careers in AI.
Right. So since you asked about the women leaders, I'll answer this a little personally, Rakshita, right? So for a lot of my career, I walked into the rooms and I counted, not on
Mm-hmm.
purpose. It just happened, right? And it was
Right.
it was about my early career. I would sit down, look around the table, and realize I was the only woman there, or one of two. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It happens, right?
Yep.
I will be honest with you about what it did to me early on, right? It made me quieter. So I would have a view, a strong one, definitely, as we always have. And I would wait, right? And I would wait until I was completely certain, right? And
Right.
until I was sure that I could not possibly be wrong. Can I answer this? Can I ask this? Those things, right?
Mhm.
And by the time I was certain, the room was, you know, it had moved on, right? So this happens with all of us, most of us, right? Um, what changed for me was not confidence. And I
Okay.
would be careful here because we tell young women, right, to be more confident. And honestly, I do not think that is the answer. What changed for me uh, was that I stopped waiting until I was certain. And I started speaking when I cared. And these are two different things, Rakshita, right? Um, Certainty for me comes from your head, right? And caring comes from somewhere else. So early, in my career, it happened, which helped me shape of thinking. And it is one story that I wanted to now raise. So
Okay.
I sat in a design review, right, where a younger early in my career, when a younger engineer, a woman, said something quietly. I still remember that, and nobody heard it, right? And that conversation moved on. And 20 minutes later, a gentleman said the same thing, and the room agreed. And I
Yes.
said nothing, Rakshita, at that time. And I have thought about that room for years. And this is how I become, a very, very big advocate of women in technology as well. The next time it happened, I stopped the meeting, you know, and I said, she said that 20 minutes ago. Can we go back? So that's the smallest thing, Rakshita, that I have ever done, right? And this is the thing that I'm most glad about.
These are like called micro acts, right? I think these add and have a lot of impact.
Yeah,
Now, when you are telling the story, you also know you did the right thing.
yeah.
You did right by the initial person who made that statement. Yeah.
Because I was the same person, right, earlier. And then I thought that, okay, I don't want, the women around me to feel the same that I felt at one time. So I recovered from it. I don't want the people and the women especially think that, okay, I would speak up and nobody would hear, right? So now let me come back and connect that to AI, right? Because you asked one question specifically to AI, but it made me remember that story. So everything I have said today comes down to one instinct, right? The instinct to ask before we celebrate what a system can do, right? We should ask that who could this hurt? Who is accountable when it gets wrong, right? The question does not come from the brain, it does come from the heart. And we have plenty of leaders who can tell you, what a technology can do. And we are really running short of the leaders who ask what it should do, right? And I think, honestly, we need more leaders and more women leaders, right? Who lead from the heart and not only from the head, right? And not, softer leaders. And when I say that, okay, women leaders, or it can, someone can take me wrong that, okay, we need some softer leaders or some slower leaders. No, leaders who feel the consequence before they admire the capability, right?
Right.
And here's the thing that I have come to believe. Many of the women in this session already lead that way. And many of the women who are not a part of the session already lead that way. You already asked the question. You have probably been, asked to tone it down. That I feel, right? To not be the one raising concerns. Please do not tone it down. That instinct is not a weakness in the room, full of excitement, right? In the moment, in this technology, it is the most valuable thing that you are doing, that you are bringing.
Speaking up.
Yeah. And so do not treat responsibility and innovation as balance that you have to manage, right? And as if caring about consequence show you down, right? It happens when you start asking the questions that nobody would really want to listen to at a moment. Then they would tell you that, okay, this is not a right question to ask, and this does not matter, and do you are overthinking, and calm down, tone down, right? But it doesn't, right? So I think the most responsible I have I have met amazing leaders as well who have helped me, grow to this level. And I've seen a lot of different people who also help me in a way that, okay, I've learned from them that, what I don't want and how I want to grow in my career, right? So I've seen the most responsible leaders, Rakshita, are often the fastest also, because they're not cleaning up an unavoidable mess, but then also they're responsible.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you need to bring the whole instinct always. Be the person who asks the hard questions and builds the things.
And I think we should worry less about the consequences, isn't it, Rupali? Because sometimes the reason, like you said, a lot of people already have the instinct, but it is not implemented because they're probably worried about the consequences, or they think they don't have a leg to stand on. But I think these are things that should be done anyway. Worst is wrong, and it's not the end of the world. Wrong, isn't
You're
it?
spot on. You're spot on. And I will tell you something, Rakshita, that I've never really said out loud. Every room I have walked into over these many years, right? Every stage I have quietly carried out this wish that there was more women at the table, speaking, leading, deciding, right? And the governance of AI is going to be written by whoever is in that room, right? And somebody is going to decide what these systems are allowed to do to people. So I want it to be us, not politics, because we ask who could this hurt before anyone asks us to, right? And yeah, and on your next question, anyone starting out in AI, the leaders, women leaders, or women engineers who want to really start on AI, I think I would really advise you to go deep into the unglamorous parts, right? You would heard a lot of things about, we are, using this model, that model, we are doing this vibe coding, that do, right? This, they would, a lot of, AI experts, I would say, are circulating among LinkedIn a lot. But one who are really doing the unglamorous work are really very little, set of the people. Everyone wants to work on the model, the demo, the things that get applause. The people who become irreplaceable are the ones who understand, the boring layer underneath. I would say a
Yeah,
boring, because that is the technology layer which people don't get a lot of appreciation very quickly.
because it's also not easy.
Yeah, it is not easy as well. But how do you make these systems safe, visible, and reliable? You would see very few people are building that. So I would want you all to learn, start thinking from that perspective. And the second thing is build your judgment, right? Not just the skills. I mean, skills you would learn, and then you would want to do inside, the papers and how the things work, how the LLM works. If you're learning about the LLM, don't just stop at the white coding, right? Understand, how these systems are made from inside, how they are running. Because if you don't understand, believe me, I have around 22 years of experience. Till date, I'm a very hands-on person. Because see, you have to lead a team of hundreds of people. You are leading very, very, exceptionally good freshers, which are, on the top of the world, the AI world, etc. You're exploring on the vibe coding, etc. But how you can be on top of those people? How can you, uh, show them the bigger picture, and you draw the end-to-end, picture for them? How do you stop them at the right breaks, at the right, time? You have to keep on learning yourself, right? And you need to not only learn your skills, but judgment, right? Skills will get automated somewhere, right? But judgments will compound. This is what I, want you to um, remember, definitely. And then the last thing, do not wait until you are certain. Speak when you care. It is important, very important for us.
Wow, I think that's a great line. Do not wait till you're certain, speak when you care. I think because that is the first instinct we get anyway. If you care enough to think about it, then we might as well speak on it.
And one thing, Rakshita, I remember as I talk now. So there was this mentor that I got into Fidelity. I hope she would be hearing me today. So she was the head of diversity into Fidelity, right? DEI into Fidelity, diversity and inclusion. And I was eventually working with her on one project called Stock Plan Brokerage, SPS. And it was a very complex program, right? Things went down, and, I was, very young. And then I used to apologize a lot at that time, right? And it was a big problem. An incident came in a very critical program. And
Okay.
I was a tech lead at that time, not a head of architecture, or no, not fancy positions, but I was a lead, still lead. So how I started was apologizing that I'm sorry that my team did it, and this happened, this that. So she was my mentor in one of the lessons that carried from that, time. And I hope that this carries from here to all the women who are listening to me. She asked me, Rupali, the men, your counterparts, won't apologize for the problems that, that they have either done or not done. Even you are doing 50% more than your men counterpart, and then you are apologizing 50% or 100% more than them. Do not apologize. At the middle of a heated moment, she said this, which I remember to this date, right? So you don't have to be apologetic. So you need to learn the ways, right? How to, present a situation in a way without being apologetic, at all times. So we are women, and we tend to take a lot on ourselves. I think that is also important, that, somebody stops you and then remembers you, because that takes a toll on yourself as well.
Like, yeah, it's like, hey, you're doing a good job. You
Yeah,
you don't need to apologize
absolutely.
for
Yeah,
your job. Yeah. Like,
absolutely.
don't be sorry that you're good at what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because
So
you're
I
trying
hope,
to spare the other person's feelings.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, I hope you all remember this from here today.
I am sure they would. Great. Wow. Rupali, I would love to keep asking you so many more questions as we go, but I can see questions pouring in the chat as well. So we can open it for Q&A very shortly.
Sure.
But right before we do, I have a couple of quick thinking answers that I would like to ask you. This is like a rapid fire, Rupali. I'm gonna like you have to tell me what comes to your mind immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you can give the answers really brief because it's just supposed to be like whatever the first thought that comes to your mind. Okay?
I remember the
Right.
and rapid fire.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. I think we've all grown up with that. Great. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. One AI trend every enterprise leader should watch closely.
Agents moving from pilots to real decisions. The moment software starts acting on its own, governance stop being optional.
Lovely. One misconception people have about autonomous AI.
Autonomous AI, that the better model solves the hard problems. It does not. The model is the easiest one.
Okay. A leadership principle that has shaped your career.
Okay, that is a good question. It is think about the consequence before you think about capability. And Fidelity and financial services taught me that the hard way.
Lovely. So, and my final question for you, one technology innovation you're most excited about?
Okay, so I lead platform team. So platforms where the safe path is also the easiest path. When doing the right thing takes the least effort, I think everything changes, right?
So about the perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. I think that was a very quick and interesting rapid fire as well, Rupali. Now, before we dive into the Q&A, because I know you also love to answer some of these questions, this one's for our audience. If you are listening, can I get some hand raises, please? Just as a change of encouragement for Rupali. Yeah, keep them coming. Okay, I can see a few. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Rupali, we have reached the final segment of our conversation today, and let's go into the questions. I know we may not be able to answer all of them, but we try our best to do it. Okay, this question is from Shreya. How can professionals build meaningful relationships with mentors or sponsors, especially when it's hybrid or remote work?
Okay, I think it's a very good question. See, every one of us has to have one mentor in your life, right? It is good to, I mean, don't be very, shy into networking. This is one thing that, I have learned the hard way that, okay, community and mentorship and networking is important. How we do it, don't wait for a big moment that it happens, right? You have to grab those small moments where you are maybe going for a coffee or you're just spotting. So spotting the opportunity as is important that way. So what I do is, when I am also with my team, I keep on learning and making good decisions. I like to take people on a quick coffee and talk, and then we talk personally more than you talk professionally first, right? And then keep on asking, building those, and our men counterpart are really good at that. Some, they would go on, on a cigarette round and do, I will always say. But I think meeting each other in a community, be a community of people, be on LinkedIn, learn from each other. Don't hesitate to message some leader or somebody who really you admire, and take the first step yourself. I think this is what worked for me definitely well. And I that we are hesitant sometime, but I think that's something that we learn a lot, right?
Correct. And I think taking that step, that initiative also matters, isn't it, Rupali? Because a lot of us seek or want
That's
help.
the one where they say that start speaking when you care, and then you don't wait that I'm not certain. Shall I wait? Shall I, ask a certain favor or certain mentorship or anything?
And also, I think, like I'm sure you will also agree, the mentors who end up helping you would also want you to seek them, right? If you need something, then you have to make that first step.
That's a very
And only then it shows intent and enthusiasm to actually learn it. So, what you're also showing by doing that is taking initiative, which matters a lot in pretty much everything we do. So, yeah, great. Solid advice. Thank you, Rupali. If you could recommend just one habit that has had the biggest impact on your career, what would it be?
This is a great question. See, till now also, I think which worked for me is being in a community and being present into industry, read every day at least for 2 to 3 hours. See, I never wanted to move out of the technology. So I told in my previous story that how I become, on top of the people, on top of the hundreds of people which I'm leading. So I think that is where when you are aware of the industry trends, to the level that okay, you are going to find out the white papers yourself instead of going to listen to some YouTube or some LinkedIn chats about AI, how we are evolving. Go at the root level where it actually gets originated, so that you are not listening to any biased response, right? So I think
Fair
that
enough.
helped me, right? That really helped me. And then being a part of the industry really helped me. So when you are in the part of industry, you know, and you compare yourself and the things that you are doing in your company, how you are doing it right versus what, you know, you learn a lot from others. And there's a lot of, you know, opportunities with each others, I think. So I think that really helped me with this journey.
Great. Thank you.
I'm just rushing so that we can take more questions. So I hope that
Yes.
I can go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, I know. So, my question to you, we'll take one final question, Rupali, with the interest
Yeah.
of everyone's time. With AI changing the way we work, how can professionals identify which skills to invest in without feeling overwhelmed by the pace of change?
Yeah. So see, so a lot of skills, as I mentioned earlier, was how to begin with the models itself, right? So begin with the models, and then, you know, the hands and memory and those tools to that model. So understand what is Gen AI, right? First thing is Gen AI, and then how Gen AI became the agentic AI, the path to that. So most of the, you know, important aspect that you would come to know is when you go at the down, you know, the bottom of, you know, the questions. So start with how the LLM model works, how, you know, the chat GPT works, how your Claude works, and what, you know, how is it answering you, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
goes on top of that, what is the difference between generative AI and agentic AI? And then you become your multi-agent systems as well. And what are those tools, right? How, you know, learn about how you manage the memory, right? How you manage the cost, how you manage the NFRs also when you read about them. So those aspects are also important. So I always find it easier for, you know, grabbing a white paper, or maybe something which is, you know, coming from the right sources instead of just hopping on the nets. Or I am also writing the two newsletters on my
Okay.
LinkedIn. So if somebody see, the foundational thing is very important. If you see, a lot of people are just rushing on the very high level, but the foundation is, if the foundation is not sorted, we will not be able to sail through the AI journey. So I also write two of the newsletters, the platform path and the AI pulse. So if anyone
Mhm.
of you is interested in, you know, joining and learning in joining the learning journey, I think you're very much welcome to, you know, join it, you know, those newsletters on my LinkedIn account, and you will, which you'll not find because they are coming from my direct experience of working into the softwares and then AI. So I think that will also be helpful for you all. I hope that
Fabulous. And I think
uh,
more reasons for our audience to look you up on LinkedIn and other platforms as well. Please do add Rupali Gupta there so
yeah,
she can actually, you can go through her work. And I think it's very interesting. I love to see passionate people do what they do because, you're just making more information available for other people
right,
if they ever decide to take this up. So I love it.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And that is the right source of information. I mean, that's a very authentic kind of a work that you should read from.
For sure, for sure. Rupali, thank you for sharing such valuable insights on building trusted AI systems for the future. I think today's conversation was extremely useful. We spoke about how AI becomes more autonomous, trust, governance, and responsible innovation will still be just as important as tech advancement itself. Thank you to everyone who joined us today and for your thoughtful participation. And I'm so sorry if we weren't able to answer your question. You can connect with Rupali directly, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of information as well on her profile. And yeah, we hope you found this session insightful and look forward to seeing you in another HerKey session soon. Rupali, I hope to see you back on our platform as well. Shout out to dunnhumby and the team at HerKey for making this happen.
Yeah. Thank you a lot to everyone. And Rakshita, you have been a very good host, actually. The kind of questions you asked shows actually the kind of maturity that you have also into the ecosystem, and the kind of experience that you are, you know, leading this. I absolutely love your work. Thank you, Divya, for hosting me here. Thank you, the whole HerKey, for hosting me here. And thank you, dunnhumby, for giving us a platform that we are talking to each other. at dunnhumby, we are very serious about creating those governance framework, and that's where a lot of experience is coming from. So it is good, yeah. And you guys are absolutely free to reach out to me at my LinkedIn profile. I'm a very approachable person. I like to raise women community together. So I would love to meet all of you and then talk each other or mentor some of you, definitely.
Lovely. People, this is your opportunity. Please do hit her up right away. Once again, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. It's almost the weekend, so I hope you have a good one, Rupali. Thank
Happy
you.
weekend, guys. Thank you,
Yeah.
girls. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.